Uh, Today's been a busy day. Uh, I'm only 2 weeks away from retiring, guys, and so I'm trying to uh, gather up all my papers and all that kind of stuff and pass it on to the next guy. So it's been kind of busy today, but it's all good because I'm happy. All right, so still reviewing this book, A Year of Positive Thinking, Daily Inspiration, Courage, and Wisdom by Cyndie Spiegel. Okay, so today is Tuesday, April the 14th, but in the book, we're on page 80. We're on April the 15th. Last night, we talked about a topic where I had a yes and a no to. We're talking about your feelings are always right. And although I agreed with the quote, I don't agree that your feelings are always right, because sometimes, you feel angry, sometimes you feel like somebody wronged you and all that kind of stuff. And sometimes that's not the case. That's just not the case. But you're allowed to feel however you feel. So tonight, we're going to talk about forgiving. The topic is you can forgive without accepting. And it's a very appropriate topic, but we'll get to that in a minute. All right, so here we go. You forgive in service of yourself so that you will not be held hostage to negativity. Forgiveness is not acceptance. It's merely releasing something that doesn't serve you. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you consent to what occurred, only that you've consciously decided to let it go in an effort to move forward with a sense of peace. Wow, wow, wow. Right? Okay, let's talk about that. I've had many occasions in my life to forgive someone. It took me, and I think I've told you this story about me before, but it took me several years to forgive my father. Um, I was holding on to that anger of what happened in our childhood, what happened, what he did to my mother, and that sort of thing. But oddly enough, my mother let it go years before I did. And she's passed on now, but she used to always tell me, baby, look, you're angry with your father for something that happened years ago. You're going to have to let that go in order for you to heal. It has nothing to do with him. It doesn't mean you agree with what he did, nor doesn't mean that you accept what he did, which is the same thing this is saying. But it means that you need to move on. And that's the thing. When you forgive someone, we find it hard as a society to forgive people. But if we think about it in the context of, I'm not forgiving them for them, I'm forgiving them for me so that I can move on, so I can let all of that negative energy go, because it's not serving me. It's not doing anything for me. Matter of fact, it's not doing anything to them, if you really think about it. So say you're holding a grudge against someone. You haven't seen that person for umpteen years. They've forgotten you even exist. But you're still holding that grudge because of something that happened years ago. Okay? So what is that doing to them? Nothing. Not a thing. But it's holding you back. It is just really tying you up and burning you up inside and churning your guts and all of that, because you can't let it go. You don't necessarily have to walk up to a person and go, oh, I forgive you. But just forgive them in your heart. That way you're free. It's done. and you let it go. Take a deep breath, let it go. I'm telling you from experience, which is what I do most of the time, is that when you decide, and it is a decision, when you decide to let it go, that is the most freeing feeling ever. I mean, you can hold on to it and hold on to it and hold on to it. And I know when I used to see my father, I mean, I would be in the same room with him. It wasn't like, I couldn't be in the same room with him. I didn't go visit him, but it felt like I was on the outside looking in whenever we were in the same vicinity. But when I let it go, it was like, oh, okay, we can be in the same room. It's no big deal. What happened happened, and it happened several years ago. And my mother, who it happened to, forgave him a long time ago. So now, why am I holding on to something that really, I mean, it involved me because I witnessed it, and I was a child and I loved my mom and I didn't want her hurt, but I was a child. And when I grew up, I just hung on to it for years and years and years and years and years. I even went so far as to when I left home. I was 18 when I left home, and my mom said, "Well, what you need to do is to let go of that anger for your father. So you go over there and you ask him whatever you need to ask him so that you can let this go." Well, my agenda was to go over and have him apologize to me. And until he did, I wasn't going to forgive him. This was my stubborn head. So I went over and I said, look, here's what you did, blah, 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 blah. And so I named all his sins. And when he said he didn't remember any of this stuff, I just blew up. I thought this was the worst thing. And I don't know how you can't remember something you did, blah, 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 blah. And I just went off. And I left my house, left home, still angry with my father. And I moved from place to place to place to place to place in my lifetime. But I still, for years, had that anger against my father because I just couldn't forgive him. I just couldn't. I just couldn't. At least that was what I was thinking. But when I finally realized it wasn't hurting him, the only person it was hurting was me. It didn't mean that I accepted what he did. It didn't mean that he didn't do anything. It just meant I needed to let it go. And that's the same thing that you can do. If you're angry with someone or someone is just really getting your goat, step back for a minute and think about it. We all have a choice of how we feel. Remember the last lesson of how we feel about something. And that's really all anger is. It's a feeling. It's a pretty powerful feeling, but it's a feeling. And it's an emotion that we can control. And it's a choice that we make as to whether or not we let something make us so upset that it affects our whole life. Instead of saying, you know what? I'm just going to forgive them. I'm going to let that go because it's not serving me. It's not doing anything for me. Is it making you happy? Absolutely not. It's making you the opposite, right? It's keeping that negativity in your life when you really, really, really should let it go. You will feel so much better. The world will even look brighter. At least it did for me. When I finally decided, okay, let that go. It's not doing anything for you or for anybody else for that matter. Move on with your life. Be happy with your life, and everything else will work itself out. So, forgiveness, again, is not acceptance. And forgiving doesn't mean you forget what happened, because forgetting certain things can make you can repeat it, right? But accept that it happened, not what happened, except that it happened, and then just let it go, move on. I know it sounds hard. It really does sound hard, and it was really tough for me because I was just, I thought that was just like, oh, I'm gonna keep that anger. That's what's gonna drive me. No, it didn't drive me. It absolutely did not. So take my advice or not, but forgive. Doesn't mean that you agree, doesn't mean that you accept. Just forgive. People, I remember a story, um, one of these horrible stories about, a police officer killed someone in his home. And at the trial, the family hugged the woman and forgave her. Everybody was all up in arms about that. Oh, why did you do that? Oh, why did you forgive this woman? But it wasn't their business, first of all. But secondly, I see why they did it. They needed to let it go in order for them to heal. It had nothing to do with her. It had nothing to do with her. It was for them and for their family so that they could move on. And if we look at it in that light, we'll start accepting when other people forgive someone, it is not our business to judge that. Whatever they're doing it for themselves, whether they think they are at the time or not, but they're doing it so that they can move on with life. And that's what we all should do, is to just move on with life. Things are going to happen. People are going to piss you off. And you might get like, oh God, stormy angry. But practice letting it go sooner. Don't hang on to it for 40 years like me. 40 years. 40 years I hung on to that. And it didn't do anything for me except hold me back. So take my experience. Don't repeat what I did. But take the current me and say, you know what? I think I'll try that. Let things go so I can live my life. It won't hurt you. I promise. All right. So I hope you guys got something out of that. And if you did, leave me some comments. Or if you didn't, leave me some comments. Don't forget, you can go get this book. It's on, and yes, I do have money as a bookmark. On Amazon, and I left the link down below. And you can get the electronic version. If you have a Kindle, you can actually get it for free. If you have, if you get the physical copy, of course, they'll ship it to you. But, you know, I like the physical. But anyway, go get it. It's a great book. So anyway, guys, I am going to attempt my squats today because my back feels a little bit better. My form may be a little off, so don't laugh at me when I do my squats today. But I am going to attempt to do my squats. I did my Obus oil, so it's working. So I'm going to do that, and I'll see you back here in about 15 minutes because I actually have to cook my dinner so it could stay there, you know, and be hanging out. So I'll see you in a few. Okay. In the meantime, I wish you peace. I wish you love. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share this video. Tell your friends. Subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you later. Have a great one. Bye-bye.